Hey everybody, Karen from Master Spirit Guides. I hope you're doing well today. So we are on episode 2 of a 3-part series that we are asking the Lead Team Collective about messages that came through Lee Harris from the Z's. And it's about this transition we're going through. So in last night's episode, and I will post that at the end of this one, right here, it'll pop up right here. In that, and so you can watch part 2, you don't need to be at part 1 to listen to this one, so you can stick around for this and then just go back to that one if you want to. So in that first conversation, we looked at why the Z's believe the old system is weakening and kind of the time period as to how long that transition period will take. All right. So today we're going to look at what they believe may need to replace it. What might be replacing those old systems. They are saying, and they were very clear in that last episode, that the transition's not going to be like boom overnight. Okay. It's a slow moving transition. And I think some things might come quicker depending on where you live, but that we are going to be breaking down old systems while we build new systems. All right. So that's, I think, a really good thing. So today we're looking at what they believe may need to replace the old systems. The Z say people should not wait for someone else to fix things. So we may be experiencing some breakdowns that we don't know what to do about it when it first happens. So that's my guess, and that we shouldn't be waiting for people to fix things. So that will be an interesting transition. And again, it depends on where you live, right? And I don't think all of us are going to experience all of the things all of the time. I think that's why I think our guides are going to watch it, that they're watching the transition for us. I'm sure they have. I'm sure they are. And helping us through these transitions as we go through them, because we are partnering with them. So they're helping us with that for sure. They say the systems we've depended on may slowly become less reliable, hence the word slowly. Because of that, they believe people will need to begin filling in the gaps. Filling in the gaps. That's why we're learning one new skill right now, right? What can you fill in the gaps? And that one skill could be anything from art to energy work to learning how to do electricity, whatever, like electrician work, baking, whatever. It's anything, really anything. So they are not just speaking spiritually. They talked about practical things as well, such as food, energy, communication, local support, local decision making. They also warn that the more power becomes centralized, the more vulnerable people become. So that's an important message for us to watch out for. They say the future may belong to smaller, more local, more connected groups of people. And honestly, Diana Cooper said when we've been talking about the book, The Golden Future, that's exactly how she described the golden future. So, and it sounded beautiful. But right now, we're not in those smaller, more local, more connected groups. Things are... our governments are very centralized. The power is very centralized. So the Z's are saying there is already a growing force of people quietly building that future. That's cool, even if most people don't see it yet. And I've done an episode called The White Hats, and I think that's a group called The White Hats. I can ask them. So today we're going to explore why they believe, the Z's believe local systems matter, why dependence on large centralized systems may become risky, and whether there really is a larger movement already forming. And then we're going to ask the lead team about, all of this. So let's go ahead and say the prayer. I already did the log challenge today, so I won't have to do that now. So I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, the lead team collective, and only those of the highest and purest light. And ask Archangel Michael to please protect my channel, your channel, the lead team collective, and our community, so it is all of the highest and purest light. Amen. Hey, lead team. Thank you so much for partnering with us. Very much appreciated. Send them some hearts, you guys, in the chat. Okay, so lead team, we are continuing our conversation here. The lead team said in the video yesterday that they know the Z's, and actually there's some crossover between this group and the Z's. So that's kind of cool. They're saying yes. Very cool. So lead team. So let's talk a little bit about what the Z's are saying here regarding what we may need to be building instead. Okay. So is it fair to say that in the next 10 to 15 years, all of our current structures and systems will look very different? Yes. And does that transition to very different need to be scary? No. Will it be scary for a lot of people? No. Okay, good. Will it feel liberating? Yes. Is that why we just need to move through these next 12 months and then we'll be able to see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel? Oh, good. Okay, yes. Good. So we can expect to see a lot of old structures changing. Yes. We'll be checking in with them, you guys, because I get very confused right now between some of the messaging on that. They're like, yes. Okay. Are a lot of people in a state of somewhat confusion right now, trying to discern what is the truth? Yes. Will it become clearer to us? All of us? Yes, it will. Okay, good. Boy, that would be nice. Like undoubtedly clear? Yes. Okay, great. So are we going to have to rely on our discernment like constantly because we'll continue to be gaslit or brainwashed or no? Okay. Is the propaganda, the untruthful propaganda going to stop? Yes. Is AI going to be helping us with that? Yes. Okay. So the Z said that the system we have relied on will become less reliable. Yes. Does that mean technology? Yes. Okay. Interesting. Just the old structures of technology will be less reliable? Yes. How things are transported will become less reliable? Yes. Okay, that makes sense. I'm not quite ready to go here yet, but someday we want to explore this like one world. They're like, yes, because that is confusing to me. Because there's a lot of people who are like, they just want a one world order and that's like one big government. But yet, then people are very suspicious of that. Yes. But is that the way we're moving to? Yes. And is that a positive thing for humanity? Yes. Well, but people are very suspicious of it. Yes. Okay. All right. We'll keep exploring that another time. So the things that anyone in our community is doing right now to quote unquote fill in the gaps of anything that we might need to fill in Are we doing the right things, the skills we are choosing to learn, or the experience, something that we're choosing to do right now because we're called to do it, like we have a passion in it? Is that enough to help fill in the gaps in the future, whatever we're doing right now? Yes. Okay, cool. So let's see. Okay. So the Z said, learn at least one practical skill. See, so this is the things we've been talking about. So that's why when I listened to them talk recently, and they were so specific, I was like, okay, thank you. It helped me so much because I was feeling really uncertain. I'm like, because I thought, well, every time we've had fear like this in the past, or anytime we thought things were going to really break down, the year 2000, and then, I mean, just every time things just kind of got band-aided over and we just counted on that. And I was kind of feeling recently like maybe this is all just going to do the same thing. Is that true? No. Okay. So this time will be different. Like there's no more band-aids. Are there any more band-aids to be had that will patch any cracks at this point? No. Okay. Okay, so they said learn one practical skill, get to know the people who live near you. Think about what you would do if stores, power, and communication became less reliable. Doesn't mean going away completely, but the Z's said that. Okay? Like I said, if you have a favorite coffee, I think I said this in yesterday's video. If you have a favorite coffee, that may be the one thing you want to stock up on because you may not be able to get it, and maybe for a while or never, and maybe just through the transition you can continue to enjoy it until things kind of settle down. It's okay to protect your mental health too, right? They said begin building small local connections now. One of the things that's in my head, and we'll figure out how to make this happen. It probably won't be it'll probably be by fall, is that people in the community here. In fact, if you're in the chat right now and you want to start telling people, like, anybody live near here, you guys can start making local connections now. You don't need to wait for us to organize that, but I think that would be cool if we can figure out a way to help everybody make local connections. Like, and I've talked about even getting people together who live in Wisconsin or in Southwestern Wisconsin for people who are here. You guys can start doing that even without me. I'm in southeastern, southwestern Wisconsin. So, that would be really cool if you guys want to make, and then start getting together and having these conversations together in person. Wouldn't that be amazing? So yeah, we will try to figure out a way. I'm not going to say try, we will do it by the fall. Timing wise, there's a lot of stuff to do. So, but in the meantime, do call outs to each other in the chats, if you want to. Otherwise, we'll figure out a way to coordinate it a little better. But begin building small local connections. Well, that's a local connection. We don't have to stay, so isolated here just on the internet, right? Okay, so lead team. Is it true that people may need to become more local and less dependent over the next 10 to 15 years? Yes, really wide swing. Will we need to or will we want to? Will we want to become more? Yes. Okay, cool. Would communities that build stronger local support become more stable during this transition? Yes. Is it possible that many people are waiting too long to begin building local connections? Yes. So, chip chop, chip chop. Could even small changes now make a big difference than people realize? Yes. Would learning practical skills help people feel calmer and more prepared? It's kind of a no-brainer. Yes. Is local communication likely to become more important if larger systems become less dependable? Yes. I mean, I'm excited about this because if even, okay, so like our farmland in Wisconsin, I'll just say Wisconsin. I know it's everywhere. But we have basically depleted the soil of nutrients in order to feed the entire world the grains that they require. Is that correct? Yes. Will people be able to adapt if we are not growing all of those grains for all the beef and all of this and that? Will everybody in different local communities be able to adapt to that? Yes. And will that help improve our soil worldwide? Yes. And so do you anticipate our food becoming much healthier in the next 10 to 15 years? Yes. See, that's going to be one of the outcomes. That's awesome. Okay, I think we answered those. Okay, so the Z's said they repeatedly warned in this interview against systems where power is held by only a few groups. And you can see it now. I mean, you can see that, how clear that is, right? They specifically mentioned media, technology, money, so like the bankers, information, and decision making. It's really interesting. I saw somebody do this video and he was like, if you want to know who owns all the media, is just, okay, so you do this. You type in Google or ChatGPT or whatever, who owns Netflix? Okay. And then you would say, whoever they say, okay. Then you would say, who owns that company? And go up. Now, who owns that company? And see who really owns it. And then do that for all of them. Who owns CNN? And then who owns who they said, who owns them? And then who owns them? And you'll start to see there's this like 3 or 4 people who own all of these, but you don't, because they have so many different names. They have all these different names and then they acquire each other, I think Larry Ellison, the one who just bought TikTok, he owns CNN. I think that's the path that this person did on a video. So it's good to know. It's good to know. So the Z's believe the more centralized these systems become, the easier it may be for people to lose choice and independence, of course, because they control the messaging. So the Z's describe this as a growing problem that's already happening now. They believe it may become more noticeable during the next several years, which means it's probably not going to be fixed by then, but it's going to become more noticeable, which means, I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's going to look like. Maybe more censorship in the meantime, So they said how to prepare. Notice which systems you depend on most. Just start looking at that. Which systems do you depend on the most? Look for ways to become less dependent. Learn how to access information from different places. Did I mention this the other day in a video? Write down all people's phone numbers, email addresses that you care about. You better write those down. Just write them down because they're in your phone, right? I only know my husband's phone number. That is it. That is it. And it's only because it's one number away from mine. I don't know anybody else's phone number. Nobody's. So how would I get a hold of them if I needed to? So write it down, have a manual, print some stuff off for God's sakes. Now that I finally got myself all digitized, it's kind of annoying. Okay. Yep, learn how to access information from different places. Support smaller local businesses and groups when possible. When possible. Okay. All right. So, lead team, would you concur with basically everything the Z said? Obviously, you would, because some of you are a part of that group. Yes. Okay. So, is dependence on highly centralized systems likely to become more difficult during the next several years? Yes. Okay. So we are sort of at the, we haven't seen any real consequences yet of the transition individually yet, have we? No. Okay. So we will start to feel some of these tightening up because of our old systems. Yes. And the only way we're going to be able to move to the new systems is by us feeling the tightening up of these old systems. Yes, that makes sense. It makes sense. You don't know what you want until you lost something, right? Could too much centralization make people more vulnerable than they realize? Yeah, 1,000%. Yes. Is it possible that convenience has caused many people to give up more independence than they intended? Yes. Was that part of the plan for people to lose more and more independence? Yes. Would becoming less dependent on one system create more freedom and security? I mean, these are kind of no-brainers. I always ask AI to not give me these no-brainer questions, but she still does it. Are smaller and more local systems likely to become more important in the future? I'm excited about that. I'm not thrilled about the transition period, but who is, right? Yes. Could some of the systems people trust most become less reliable than they appear? Yes. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, the last section for today, and then we'll have one more episode to talk about some of the other things they talked about, the Z's talked about. The growing force of people already building something new. That's cool. So the Z's repeatedly described a growing force of people who are already building a different future. So just know that. That's amazing. They say many of these people are not publicly visible. They believe more people are quietly changing how they live, think, work, and connect. I mean, look at all the conversations we're having. Very different than what we did 9 months ago, right? They describe this group as growing faster than most people realize. That's exciting. That's really exciting. The Z's describe this as already happening now and continuing to grow during the next decade. So how do we prepare? Pay attention to people already building new ways of living. Stay open to meeting people who think differently. Remember that you may not be as alone as you feel. That's important. You are probably not as alone as you feel. I was just saying, we can connect. All of you guys can connect. There are people always in this community that are near each other. Focus more on building than on fighting. Focus more on building. That's why we're done with the whole division talk. We're not doing that anymore. We can call things out no matter, what religion they are, no matter what country they live in, whether it's our country or the US or somebody else's, whether they're on the right or the left, we're going to be we got to call it out. It's not about that anymore. Okay. Let's see if there's any good questions in here. Is there already a larger movement, I want to know this, of people quietly building something different? Yes, that's awesome. Are more people waking up and changing their lives than most of us can currently see? Wonderful. Yes. Is that more than just people in this community? Yes. Is it possible that this movement remains less visible because many people are working quietly instead of publicly? Yes. So, but will there be a point in the next year and a half maybe that we start to see it more publicly? The changes? Yes. Are we going to trust that at that point? Yes. Okay. Well, that's nice. So, or will we feel like we're continuing being gaslit about everything? No. That would be very nice. So they'll have like proof that people can trust? Yes. Could people feel less afraid if they realized how many people are already moving in this direction? Yes. So you guys ask your questions. I don't know where to start on dissecting that, but if you guys have more questions, I'll do a couple more episodes on all of your questions about these. Are we meant to spend more energy building the new than fighting the old? Yes, that's why, was it in the last episode or this one where we talked about, people are still focused on the 2024 election? And yes, and they said that's not helpful. Is it helpful to continue focusing on the 2024 election? No. Okay. Is it helpful for some people to focus on it? Yes. Okay. Is it helpful for anyone in this community to focus on that? No. Just so you want us focused on what we're building at this point, what to build. Okay, great. Yes. Is this growing force likely to become more visible during the next several years? I kind of just asked that, but yes. Cool. That's awesome, you guys. Isn't that fun? Like building. We're going to be building. It's just this little transition period, year and a half from now, and it might get a little more heated up than what it is right now, which is why we've been talking just a little bit about how to get comfortable to stay calm during that time period. That's pretty much it, right? Okay, so in closing, today we looked at what the Z's believe people should build during this transition, but building something new is not only practical, it is also emotional, right? Get your favorite coffee, whatever, okay? Many people still feel trapped between two choices. Prepare or trust, which we already did a video a couple days ago on prepare or trusting. Stay calm or pay attention. Speak up or stay quiet. It's like trying to figure out how to do all of those things. It's how do we prepare and trust? How do we stay calm and pay attention? And how do we speak up and stay quiet? How do we speak up and stay quiet? Because sometimes you just need to. Sometimes you need to let people figure it out on their own, right? So it's like when to do that. So the Z's say those may be the wrong choices. Oh, all right. As I just said that. They say we may need to learn how to do both. Okay, yeah, I just said that. Okay, we may need to learn how to do both. Tomorrow we're going to look at the emotional and spiritual side of this transition. Why they say waiting for a sudden collapse may be the mistake. Why they say fear can keep people stuck. Kind of know that. And why they believe speaking your truth matters even when other people are not ready to hear it. Okay. So tomorrow we move from what we should build to how we live through the change. That'll be a good conversation, is how do we live through the change? All right, so if you haven't watched episode 1, you can go right here, click right there, and it'll pop up. If you liked this content, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to leave comments, ask your questions. I can always do additional episodes based on this topic, okay? All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.